Do you read me over?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me over?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. All right. What's going on, everybody? Baby Friday, Friday night's eve. Well, since I have a chaplain coming on the show, I'm just going to say, good Lord, it's almost the weekend. I'm not going to say the other thing I say. Hey, we got an amazing show for you. It's, man, what a small world we are in. And, you know, it's true what they say. We are like 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. I know that which is an actual thing as well. But, you know, before we get all into the show, let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. Hey, when was the last time you took a hard look at your finances and not only, you know, taking good care of your mental health, but also your financial health? That's the gap that I feel. Things, you know, I'm the guy who teaches you. I know the Marine Corps Institute corresponding courses like financial learning for Marines, which I just did a TikTok on. So feel free to check it out. I mean, I fill in the gap that those corresponding courses didn't teach you. Things like, hey, how to prepare for a transition. Hey, how to transition from SGLI to a proper life insurance. How to properly allocate your investments outside of the TSP and roll that money out so that it grows in a healthy manner and achieve your financial goals. And by the way, I also show you how to apply for your VA claims and benefits and how to properly allocate those entitlements post-service, so that way you're not blowing them, and that not only do you can partake and obviously buy yourself some things. Also on the other side is put strategies together that's going to benefit you, your family, and your family's future. So, and speaking of VA claims and benefits, please, if you need help and assistance, drop me a DM. The conversation is free. I show you how to fish, how to navigate the VA system and what to put in there. I use AI because at the end of the day, you know, these are things that you earn with your body, mind, soul, and spirit. You gave your heart, you know, your pound of flesh to the mean green machine. So rightly so, you should claim what you worked so hard for, and that you sacrificed a lot in the name of God, country, core, and freedom, and all the great things that this great nation of ours gives us. And support when you defended, when you raised that right hand and said, I do solemnly swear, ... to support and defend, all that good stuff. Remember that oath? So give me a call. Let's have a chat, and we can go from there. Listen, because at the end of the day, what I do here is pass on information, build community. And so if you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and follow. I don't make 1 cent out of this. I do this out of the goodness of my heart, and it's more therapeutic for me. So, but, you know, help me move the analytics and the needles as far as on social media. So please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm also writing articles now on Substack. So please check it out. You know, you can read your Substack articles when you're in the bathroom. So, hey, education via defecation. You know what I'm saying? But look, you know, this show supports the Constitution, everything else that goes with these freedoms. So if you like this sexy accent, again, like, subscribe, and follow. If you don't, check something out from sitchradio.com, the folks who this podcast is ran through. Brian Coburn is an amazing individual, so there's always all kinds of shows there to tickle your fancy. But hit me up, let's have a conversation, and let's get ready to kick off this show. Hey, look, the world is really small. This individual and I, we actually ended up, after having a very long conversation at a military content creator convention in Dallas, we found out that we were in the same unit. Anyways, so he was a chaplain. As I was leaving, he was the incoming chaps. So let's bring in Chaplain Steve Mills to the show. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, brother. First off, freaking love your intro. That just, man, it hits all the feels. It brings back the memories. It brings back all the stuff. And normally I'll fast forward through podcast intros. I've even kind of gotten away from doing it myself, but I'm like, I love that one. So, hey, thanks for having me on as a guest, really as a brother, right? Because like you said, as we were talking, you'd mentioned that you retired from 11th Marines back what, 2014, and
2014.
I just and discovered that I had just arrived, and I'm like, wait, you're the guy who had the retirement with all the trucks, and you came in on the truck. And I was like, that was the best retirement ceremony I've ever been to. But just
Yeah,
connecting after 12 years, that's crazy, dude.
yeah. It's funny. I mean, when we met and we were both having breakfast and kind of chatting it up. I was like, wait, and even up until, I mean, I know we talked about that. Hey, we were in the same unit. It wasn't until you sent me a picture, I was like, oh yes, now I remember. And then we even talked about my retirement. That one of your fellow chaplains was the one
Hmm.
who, Greg. Greg was the one who did my invocation and all that good stuff. It was a good time. It's all nostalgic and it's cool, but I remember being in 11th Marines, man, and living in the field. It sucked. You know what I'm saying?
So last winter or two winters ago, I walked outside and went around the corner. And living in Oklahoma, the wind is always blowing, right?
Yeah.
And man, that cold wind just cut through me. And it took me back to Steel Night and how cold it was out there. And just, I mean, oh, it was miserable. And then, it's hard for me to sleep in a comfortable bed these days. Back then, you had a little air mattress or a foam pad in the sleeping bag and bivy sack.
I,
So it
yeah,
was awful.
yeah, it was insane. And, especially when the CEO was like, hey, let's make sure, talk to the chap so that way he prays from really bad weather. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
So, yeah, I just got back from Afghanistan. And so they sent me to 11th Marines to give me a break. And I'm like, wait a minute. We're either in the field, coming out of the field, or getting ready to go into the field. And in fact, I came out like the last field up I did, I came out on a Friday in PCS to Bahrain for a 1 year unaccompanied that next week. So I'm just like, and that was a tough unit. That was a tough time.
Yeah.
Um,
So, and because this is all really good stuff. Prior to me getting there, I was down at MTM, at more maintenance, a maintenance company down the hill, right? Taking care of all the vehicles, higher echelon for the base. And I forgot what his name was Bobby. I forget, he was the senior motor transport officer for the West Coast, the warrant officer. And this is how he sold me on 11th Marines. Hey brother, I know you just got back from overseas and I'm trying to keep you from deploying. And I was like, wait a minute, my overseas control date, because I was overseas already, is already zeroed out. So how can I go back? And on top of, by the way, I was just in an earthquake tsunami situation because I was stationed in Mount Fuji. So he's like, yeah, hey, 11th Marines, we have a gap there. I need you to go there, bro. It's gonna be cake. You can go to college. You go play golf, and da da. And I was like, man, this sounds way too good to be true. And I took it because obviously I wanted to stay in, and I had other aspirations because I want to end up at the division White House and main site. Long story short, that place sucked the Marine Corps right out of me. It's just, you're right. It's a hard, artillery is a hard unit. If you either love it or you hate it. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And obviously I had some mental health issues going on at the time, but nonetheless, hey, tell me a little bit of what was we talked a little bit, what was your reaction when we realized that we had crossed paths, at Pendleton? And on top of it, what drew you into the whole content podcast space now?
so my reaction was I got goosebumps. I just like I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just, and what's crazy is while we met at MCC and we talked and hung out, once I discovered that we'd been at the same unit, that brotherhood that is unspoken, just, I mean, it filled my heart. When we finished that, I went out and told my wife, I'm like, you're not going to believe this. This is crazy. It was just, it was wild. But I shouldn't be surprised, right? Because that's what the military does. We go through those hard times, and I would never do uh, an assignment like 11th Marines ever again.
Yeah, me neither, bro.
But because of that, we have this connection. When I talk about Steel Night and how cold it is, or whatever the other ones were in the summer and how stinking hot, I
Oh,
we have that shared hardship. And I remember my first time out at 29 Palms, we go to that little camp, right? And what was the camp? Camp
Wilson, Camp Wilson.
Wilson, Camp Wilson.
Oh,
So I walk into the head, and I'm like, there's no doors on the toilets. Man, this is awkward. So I spend 6 weeks out in the desert with nothing. I come back in, I'm like, man, I got three doors around me. So it's perspective. And then, for me, podcasting. So to back way up, in 2009, I completed my doctorate in using Psalm 23 as a healing response to combat stress and PTSD,
okay.
and have taught that. In fact, I'm teaching a class on it. I'm finishing up this weekend on how to walk through the darkness, where it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death or deepest darkness, I fear no evil, for you are with me. And that key word is with. So at the end of my career, towards the end of it, and I did 32 and a half years active duty,
Wow.
my body was breaking down, man. I've
Yeah.
had, let's see, one hip replaced, knee replaced, back
Same.
fused, foot reconstructed, six screws in my jaw. And my body was just like, come on, dude. We've taken you all around the world, and just give us a break. And my wife even said, she goes, I don't think you could do another assignment even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I still, like many vets, have that drive and passion to do something.
Right.
My 7-year-old grandson the other day said, Grandpa, do you ever just sit quiet and sit still? Like, not often. So I was thinking about, what am I going to do afterwards? What am I going to do? And I was going to get totally away from the chaplain business. I'm like, I'm done. I'm burnt out. And when I retired, I was finished being a chaplain, and God said, I'm going to give you a break. But now I'm serving as a hospice chaplain, and it's the most rewarding, heartbreaking ministry position I've ever had. But I wanted to do something with vets. And I thought, well, I can't go out and run marathons anymore. I can't do a lot of physical stuff, but I can talk, and I can care for people, and I can hear their stories and get their stories out. So I'm gonna start a podcast. And if I had a blank piece of paper here, this is exactly what I knew about podcasting when I decided to do a podcast.
Huh.
So now I've got the lights, camera, all the editing stuff. So the passion was really to get out and hear people's stories, have them share, because as I've discovered, the number one lesson about recovering, walking through that valley, is walking through the valley of darkness together with
Mm.
other people. MCC was Military Creator Con, was as different a conference that I've ever been to.
Yeah, I
Normally, when
agree.
I come away from a conference, I'm wiped out. I've got the
Yeah.
post-conference hangover. I'm still energized by this. It just it just keeps rewarding benefits. And in fact, I got an email today about, hey, sign up for next year. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But the reason I do the podcast is I just wanted people to know that they're cared for, that they're loved. And as vets, we're not the only ones going through that experience.
Mm.
Uh, I have anxiety attacks. I I had a big one 2 years ago where I froze and blacked out, and then I started to have a minor one. This past weekend, we were at the Cowboy National Museum. They had a chuck wagon festival. I was there with the family, and we had to walk through this hall where they were just playing all this music, and it was loud and all the instruments. And whew, I felt my bottom lip start to quiver. I felt the chest tighten up. And I just told my wife, I said, I'm going to go sit outside. So I powered through and I went out and they stayed in there about 30 minutes. But
Yeah.
I just found a park bench and just calmed down. But I'm like, come on, man. I'm walking through a hall of musical instruments. But so am I the only one in the world who deals with anxiety attacks? No. And it brings comfort to know that other people do too.
No, and you know, it's crazy, and I got a lot of respect for chaps, you know, like through Greg and Chaplain Baldwin. He and we worked together at Mount Fuji, and then he was sent to 29 Palms after that. I forgot his first name. He was a cop, and what I noticed is something very common is that most of you guys are older when you guys come into the service because you guys have done your bachelor's, your master's, you got a couple of PhDs, and then you have that calling and you join the service. And now, just like anybody, there are your not so good batches, like the guy that took over Fuji. I mean, that guy for Chaplain Baldwin. But the ones that they go all out and they'll run PT, hump, and everything. And it's like, even me as a warrant officer, I'm like, chaps, you shouldn't be here right now, dude. Because like with I know Greg for a fact, that dude used to run and this and that, and he would be beat up because we used to go, you know, I would go to his house over quite often. He was one of my neighbors, and I'm like, bro, your feet are torn up. And he's like, yeah, I got to do this tomorrow with the Marines. And I'm like, dog, just go to freaking sick bay. You know what I'm saying? So I know you were the same way. I mean, dude, I've had knee replacement. I'm kind of considering a shoulder. It's like, shit, you know?
I know. And, you know, when people say thank you for your service and your sacrifice, you know, there are those who give the ultimate sacrifice, the last full measure. Yeah. And our hearts go out to them and their families in honor and respect. But we've also sacrificed things, and a sacrifice is something you can't get back. So how many birthdays, anniversaries, Christmases have you been gone?
Oh my God.
You'll never get those back, right?
Yeah.
And our body, I used to be a PT stud. I did CrossFit. I was a CrossFit instructor. I ran 6 marathons, 25 halves. I went to Bridgeport.
Damn, dog.
And now if I drop a piece of paper on the floor, I'm like,
you think twice about picking that some bitch up.
I look like a baby giraffe trying to get actually a rather overweight giraffe trying to get a drink of water.
I know.
But I'm just like, yeah, I'm not.
It's staying there.
It's like, but it's a loss that we share, that we have, and I do grieve because I see people running. I'm like, man, I used to do that. Now I can't. I physically can't without really re-injuring something. So we give up and we sacrifice. But you know what, Pacho? I wouldn't trade a day. I would do it all over again. Because I mean, you know, we serve the mission, we protect our country, we ensure freedom, but I get to serve with folks like you and other brothers and sisters that are out there. And it's just, there's, again, like I said at the beginning, there's this connection that others just don't have. And yeah.
Hard to find that in the civilian side. You know, that camaraderie, that brotherhood. And I mean, look, we haven't, aside from MCC and now, I mean, it's like, oh yeah. And I mean, with the same battle wounds and just, it kind of like get that reminiscence to the point that you're like, man, you know what? It wasn't really that bad when I was in, you know, but when you were in it, like, man, this place just, it just sucks, you know? So tell me a little bit, so kind of digging a little bit about the chaplain corps, tell me a little bit what civilians misunderstand about military chaplains, because one thing is being, leading a pasture in the civilian sector and, doing all these things that with your community and such. But a chaplain, man, I mean, it's going above and beyond. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so can you explain that to some of our civilian audience, just what you guys go through and the sacrifices?
Yeah, so to be a Navy chaplain, I think that the minimum is really 9 years of training and education. Your bachelor's, 4 years, a 3-year master's, and then 2 years of experience. And that's just the minimums. And like you said, we do come in a little bit older. I came in, I think I was 34. And I think back now, 34, man. I would even take 54 these days. So we come in as fully trained ministers. We know how to marry people, we know how to bury people, we know baptisms, and those are the three main things, and the ordinances, the communion, Lord's Supper, that the Navy wants to ensure that we come in fully qualified. They're not training us to be a chaplain or minister. When we go through ODS, I guess, or whatever they call it now,
Yeah.
here's how you wear the uniform. Here's how you march. You probably won't ever march again, but here's how you do it. And, here's the military culture. So there's a lot of things that the misconception is that we're just these ethereal or whatever that word is. I can't pronounce it right now, but just very heavenly minded ministers that come in and we just love everybody and it's all good. It's kind of like from MASH, Father Mulcahy, right?
Oh, man, I love
The
that
other
story.
misconception is that a chaplain will hold all types of services: Protestant, Methodist, Baptist, Christian, Jewish, and that's not true. Not true at all. A chaplain comes in, so I was ordained Southern Baptist, and I came in as a Southern Baptist minister. And when I did a worship service or a Bible study, it was always in that theological vein. Now, if somebody, and this happened quite often, if I had someone who's Jewish or Catholic and they wanted to be ministered to specifically from their religion, then I would find a priest or a rabbi. And one of the funniest things about at 11th Marines, we were going out over Easter, and the colonel, I won't say his name, God bless him, but he said, hey, I want to have a Catholic priest out there. And I'm like, we're not going to get one. And Red
I
Star
think I
Cluster,
remember that.
Red Star Cluster went up, and he jumped me for not having a priest, and he asked me why not. I said, because it's Easter. They're all busy. So somehow I found one, and I found a rabbi, and I found another one. And so the pre-brief, the PowerPoint was, "Good morning, Colonel. The religious coverage, I will have a priest, a rabbi, and a minister."
That's a good joke. They walk through a rabbi, a priest, walk into a steel night, and it's like, okay, what's the punchline?
So and then afterwards, I had pictures of all of us in the back of a Humvee, and it was a priest, a rabbi, and a minister, or in the back of a Humvee, and I paused, and he was like, "Well, I'm waiting for the punchline." I'm like, "There's no punchline. It's a priest, a rabbi, and a minister. We're in the back of a Humvee." So what we do is we find others to minister in that vein. The other thing we do is we care for everybody. It doesn't matter if a person's religious, non-religious. And I had very few people get hung up over me being a Baptist. I mean, I could count on a handful how many people cared what religion I was. They just wanted to know that I cared, and they wanted to be cared for. The other misconception is that everything told to a military chaplain is 100% confidential. Can't disclose a thing. If somebody wants to harm themselves or harm others, we can't say anything. And so, sea story, downrange in Afghanistan, a Marine comes to me and he goes, "Hey, Chaplain, just wanted you to read this letter before I go into the chow hall and kill people. And I know you can't say anything about it." So I positioned myself between that Marine and the door. I read the letter. Medical was right next to me, and I said, "Hey, do you think medical would be interested in reading this letter?" He's like, "Oh, that's a great idea." So, like, "Doc, come here, quick, read this." They read it. Boom. They grabbed him, grabbed the weapon. I didn't disclose anything. I just asked
That's
him for
okay.
permission to
Yeah.
share the letter to people who
Holy
can.
cow.
Yeah. So that was probably the most hair raising, gut instinct uh, feeling I've ever had with somebody. And I've had people who say, "Chaplain, I'm going to kill myself, but I know you can't tell anyone. I don't want anyone to know." And we would talk a little bit, and I would say, "Okay, so let me understand. You don't want anyone to know you want to kill yourself." And they said, "Well, that's absolutely right." Then I ask, "So why did you tell me?" And that gives them permission to talk more about it. And
Yeah.
then I say, "Hey, I think we should get you some help. Let's walk over to medical." And so we do. And then the Marine or sailor or whoever would disclose. As a civilian chaplain, I am a mandatory reporter. I do have to, if I find
Yeah.
certain things, then I do have to report that. And so that's been a challenge for me because I stay tight-lipped and I share as little as possible. And thankfully, being a hospice chaplain, I don't think I've come across something that I've had to report.
Wow. Yeah, I did. I was a SARP for a while in my one of my last units. That was intense. I would never do that again as a
No.
sexual abuse response coordinator. Yeah, that was intense. But let me ask you this, brother. So I know you have obviously all these years of experience. Why man, this is kind of like a two-part question. Why do you think so many veterans struggle silently? Going back to, hey, I don't want anybody to know, so on and so forth. And how did that, I guess, and based on all those experience, how did that deepen your empathy to and how you're applying it nowadays, not only with at the hospice where you help folks out, but also through your show because you do have a podcast that you put out
Mhm.
there as well. So
So I think veterans struggle because one, we're taught from day one, suck it up.
yeah,
Man, you broke your leg, splint it and carry on type of thing. You saw stuff in combat that no one should ever see. Too bad. You got to get back out there and do it.
yeah,
And that is ingrained in us. And I
mm,
still find it difficult to share communications or such with my wife, just because of me. But sometimes I will hold things in, and as veterans, they don't want to appear to be weak. They don't want to appear to be afraid of stuff. And what I've discovered with a lot of my Vietnam vets, especially the ones on hospice, as they are getting closer, man, they're sharing their experiences. They are sharing what they went through.
mm,
So all of this stuff, all of this combat stress, all the PTSD, we all take it in, and it's much like food. And if we can regulate and get the food, get that stress out at the time of our choosing in the manner that we choose, whether it's gardening, cooking, smoking meat, or whatever a person does. But if they hold it in, it's coming out. And it
mm,
comes out in anger, it
yeah,
comes out in rage, it comes out in alcohol, drugs, abuse, depression, pornography. It's coming out. So I think veterans don't have, and this is pejorative, and this is a wide open statement, but veterans don't have the resources or use the resources that are available because they don't think they have a problem. But number two, if they do have a problem and they admit it, there's a sense of shame and guilt, and they don't want to appear to be weak. And I struggled with sharing about my anxiety attacks for a while, but now I'm open about it. I'm like, you know what? I locked up, and I've got an episode I'm working on recording called "All I Wanted Was a Cheeseburger." So I'm at an air show, and I stand in line to get the overpriced, well cooked cheeseburger,
Yeah.
and I love cheeseburgers. I mean, it's obvious I love
Hey.
cheeseburgers, but so I'm getting ready to take a bite, and the show, a reconstruction of the attack on Pearl Harbor starts. And I just PCS from Pearl Harbor. So this was all still new to me. And you
Yeah.
hear bam, 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 boom, 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 and the fire and smoke and Pacho. Dude, I locked up. I'm frozen. I've got this cheeseburger and I'm hungry and I want to eat it. And I'm surrounded by 10 to 15,000 people and I feel utterly alone. And I've got tears streaming down and I'm getting pissed because I want to eat this cheeseburger so badly and I can't do
Yeah.
it. I, I make it home. I don't remember how or any really of the rest
Mm.
of the day.
Yeah.
But 2 years later, I go back to the same air show. And this time I put some safety measures in place. I told a coworker, she and her family were going to be there. And I said, hey, just in case this happens again, would you mind to come help me? She's like, absolutely. So air show starts, bam, 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 smoke, fire, all that. And I feel it rising up. But then I'm like, I've got somebody here. I have somebody that will come be with me. See how I came back to that word with? Even
Yeah.
though I walk through the valley of
Wow.
anxiety, I fear no evil, for you are with me. God certainly is with us, but he sends people to be with us. And so I I knew she was here. Um, and I get through the air show, and I get home, and next week I talked to her about it. She said, "Yeah, I told my husband. I said, hey, Steve might call, and I'll need to go right away." So she said I had my phone, and I just kept looking at it just in case, and that meant the world to me. Now that was the air show was on Saturday. I went back again Sunday with my son-in-law and two
Mm.
grandsons. They wanted to see the Robo Dog. So it's lunchtime. The boys get like the 3 foot corn dog, and they ate all of it too. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So stand in line, we get our food, sit down. The air show starts, the whole thing, all the gunfire, smoke, and the ground burst simulators. And I sit back and I eat my cheeseburger.
That's amazing.
And the reason is I wasn't afraid to talk about it. I didn't hold it in, and I had people with me. So that's a very long answer to that
No, no,
first question.
no, and you gave me a good softball there because you mentioned, with, even though I walk with, uh, that's what your podcast and your show is called. What led you, so yeah, tell us, yeah, there you go.
So there's the cup.
What led you to that, and tell me a little bit more about that, or tell our audience about that, because I definitely want people to go check it out because it's amazing.
So it's you can go to etiw.org. Yeah, I'm on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and uh, YouTube as well. So and YouTube's the main channel. But I knew when I did my dissertation in 2009, I wanted to use this somehow. And it's just like a crock pot, man. It just kept cooking and cooking. And then as I was getting ready to retire, I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to have a podcast. What am I going to call it? So I get out a blank piece of paper and a pen. I just start scribbling, writing things. And then I'm like, huh, how about even though I walk? So I Googled even though I walk.com. Doesn't exist. It does now. That's a long website to type in. So then I like etiw.org. So I got that. Same with all the socials, all the stuff. It hadn't been taken yet. And so I was able to capture that and then start learning about podcasting and what did I want it to be? And what I do is I just have people share their life with me. We have a conversation, much like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And one, it helps them get that out. It helps me because it's therapeutic for me to hear
Yeah.
their
Oh, trust
stories.
me, I know. I've been doing this.
Yeah. And then also maybe it's going to help somebody else.
Yep.
Maybe someone is going, "Ah, I'm not the only one." And then from there, it's been a slow ride. I've been doing it for about 3 years. I have maybe 15 episodes, and I've got a bunch more that I'm trying to get out. But I want it to be impactful and meaningful. And in breaking news, in July, I'm going to a Jeep event with about 200 to 300 Jeeps that are going to all be there. And I signed up to be a
Nice.
vendor. So I'm gonna have a booth. I'm gonna have my recording stuff set up, and as people walk by, if they fit the bill, then we'll have a conversation, do a recording, and I'm gonna go live as well. Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited about it. I'm ordering a banner. I don't know if I'm gonna have any merchandise just yet, because I mean that's a lot of work. That's you gotta scan, get paid, and all this. And I'm like, I just need to maybe start small. I tend to, when I do something, I'm like, I'm all in. I'm good. I'm doing this
Let's go.
completely.
Yeah, let's make it
Yeah.
happen, baby. That's awesome. So let me, as we're getting kind of like the top of that hour, what's one thing you wish uh, more veterans understand, or what is one takeaway that you from just from this one show? Because obviously we're gonna have you back some more. Maybe we can call it chaps corner. Hell yeah,
Hey, come
you
up with
know,
something catchy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what would be a good takeaway from them? Obviously, with your many years of service, out of while in this great for in the armed forces, but also outside of the service, what will be one good takeaway from them
The power
for
of
them?
connection. Yeah,
Yeah.
connection. The power of connection cannot be underestimated. That's what
Mm,
MCC did. And I've been to other veteran events. I still go to some buddies' retirement ceremonies. And even today, I went up to the VA hospital to meet the chaplains up there so my company can do some community building with them. So I
okay.
called and said, "Hey, I want to come up." And when I got up there, I met the supervisory chaplain, and he's like, "Hey, let me introduce you to these other guys." And I come around the corner, and this one chaplain and I look at each other, and we're like, "I know you. I know you." And we were never stationed together, but we went to conferences and even though our contact in the Navy had been minimal, having that connection as a Navy chaplain, we talked for an hour. I was like, dude, this is amazing. And again, we can't be a lone wolf out there. We
That's
can't
true.
be out there by ourselves. You can't do it alone. Even running marathons. Yeah, you're running, but you got people cheering you on, you got people handing you water, you've got all the support. So even in one of the a solo sport, you're still not doing it alone. And how in the world can we who have been downrange and have seen things and have held the hand of people dying, uh, coming in Afghanistan, having killed in action and wounded, and all the other stuff that I've been through, you can't do it alone. Uh,
Yeah.
I've got another chaplain. He and I were in chaplain school together. We talk at least once a week, if not more. And and again, I've got some buddies that I've been stationed with that we send memes and jokes back and forth to each other. And sometimes they'll send me one, and I'm sitting in church, and I'm like, should I open this one or I'm not going to play meme roulette.
It's crazy, this entire conversation is it's somewhat comforting in the sense that even here, even coming from somebody whose their sole job is to be there for others, that it makes you're human. Like, hey, I would have never thought that chaps would struggle with anxiety and and the same things. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
like It's like, wow, just hearing it's like, man, it's like hearing Superman is human. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, wow, even the chaps has his things post service. Again, it bring you back to community in the sense that, man, I'm not the only one. Because if anybody out of anybody in the world struggles with things, it's the chaplain. It's like, okay, then I'm not alone, and it's comforting in that sense because, hey, look, he's thriving, he's here, then I'm gonna be okay too. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Going back to one of those misconceptions, people I assume or think that chaplains or ministers don't struggle with other things. They're
Yeah,
above. They're immune to it. Whew. That is as far from the truth as can be. I'm just a guy. I'm just a regular guy. My name is Steve. I'm a grandpa. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. Uh, but I've been called to love and care for people. And I think one of the strengths that I have is that I'm just a regular guy.
mm,
And I hope that comes across to people and that I'm not standoffish and well, I'm the most holy, right reverend and humble Dr. Mills. Uh, and people ask me, they're like, what should we call you? I'm like, Your Excellency, Your Holy Eminence. Yeah, just something simple and basic like
something
that.
classy.
Yeah, yeah. But so yeah, the power of connection, and the other thing is humor is absolutely key in healing from trauma. So I was a
Mm,
firefighter for 10 years, and we would go see things and do things that people should not do. And
yeah,
we'd get back to the
yeah.
fire station. Man, if I told you some of the jokes, you would probably be okay with them.
Oh
But
yeah,
good
100%.
night. It was brutal. And we were brutal with against each other as well. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah,
if you were weak, God help you because
yeah.
people are going to jump on you. Sometimes literally. I mean, yeah, that was back in the day when you didn't necessarily just get written up. You got counseled in other ways. And so
Wall
you
to
didn't do it
wall.
again.
What was it? Wall to wall counselings.
Yeah, I had a sergeant one time try to counsel me, and I didn't know I was supposed to just take it. So I fought back. And that's the last fist fight I've been in, thankfully, in 40 years ago or so. But man, later they're like, Mills, you're supposed to just sit there and take it. I'm like, I'm not taking anything.
Yeah,
And
hell
here I am
no.
like an E2. And yeah, now I think I could have gone to court martial or I mean, but
Hmm.
um, so using humor, again, it's I was playing around with Chat GPT last night. I was doing it to work on some podcast stuff, but I was like, I need a break. So yeah, like here's a picture. Put me as in biblical times. And I about wet myself. I was laughing so hard. So I sent it to my son and my son-in-law, and they're like, "Yep, seems right."
I mean, hey, it is what it is, brother.
Just silly, stupid stuff, right? But
Yeah.
but again, it's helping get that stuff out. And if all of the stress, the PTSD can come out in laughter, then hey, that's a win.
That's awesome, bro. Brother, where can people go out and reach out? Your websites, your social media. Where can people go reach out? Because we this is like a one part one because we got to do part
Yeah,
two of this conversation.
definitely. Yeah, so again, the website, etiw.org. You can email me at steve@etiw.org. Look me up on Facebook, Instagram, uh, Google ETIW, or even though I walk, you'll see this logo up there. And then on YouTube at even though I walk, and that'll come up. So, Pacho, thank you so much, brother, for having me on. This has been a blast.
Yeah, man, this has been
I've done
really
some
cool
other
having you.
guest spots, and like I told you earlier, I think I'm a better guest than I am a host. But we're going to keep at it, and I want to have you on my podcast as well, and talk about some of the experiences you've had because you've I mean the Air Force, being an Air Force firefighter was difficult-ish. I mean, one time we did stay in a 3-star hotel,
Oh
and
God.
yeah, that old joke.
Yeah.
I was in the Air Force, and I woke up inside of a tent, and I thought, what is a tent doing inside my hotel room,
Yeah,
type
I
of
know.
thing. but
That's a good
man,
one.
being with the Marines, that's tough. That is absolutely
Yeah.
insane. And
Oh,
I wondered when I first started serving with the Marines, why are these sergeant majors walking all humped over? And then after my first 20-mile hike, I realized they've been doing this for 20 years. That's just how they are now.
yeah.
And but yeah, but thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thanks so much, brother. Hey, Steve, you've been. This has been a busy conversation. Definitely, will have you back, brother. And by the way, if I didn't say at the beginning, thanks for your service, man.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for yours also.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later. What an amazing individual, everybody. Hey, Chaplain Mills. It's crazy. Like I said, what a small world that he and I were to run in at this convention, and then we hit it off right away. So, but we definitely have the chaps back, everybody. And one thing that I want to end the show with is whether you're a man of God, faith, the universe, whatever the case. Look, if you've been struggling lately with going into that dark hole, that ruminating, and just the voices are creeping up or whatever else, and you think of doing something, harm yourself, it's not worth it. Crappy times won't last long. Tough people last longer. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to reach out, have a conversation, and I can stand in front of the door just like Steve did, and we could just have that conversation and let me at least talk you off the ledge, and I can get you connected with the right folks. Or maybe you want to talk to Steve as well. Either way, don't do anything stupid, because we just don't want to have the questions after how we could have helped you, because it ain't worth it. All right. So that being said, everybody, I think this is a great place to index. Once again, thanks so much to Chaplain Stephen Mills for being on the show, Brian Colburn, and everybody else that support the show, my super fans, my wife, the trophy, as well as Angel Figueroa, another awesome, awesome supporter of the show, and my brother, and everybody else that listens to the show. God bless you. Good night. I think this is a place to say Aistamas, Daisuki, Index, everybody. I'll see you next week. Ara, get some.